Welcome to Arca's Neet Biology, and today let us discuss certain tricks which help to solve a pedigree very easily. Let us see how we can interpret whether the pedigree is having a dominant disease or a recessive disease. The first easiest thing to know whether that is the recessive or dominant is wherever if the offspring is affected. Okay, if this offspring is having a normal parents, normal mother and normal father, then that pedigree is a recessive one. Okay, if suppose for the affected offspring, if the parents are affected, okay, then here either the mother or the father is affected, then we can say that as the dominant disease. Because in a dominant disease, if the offspring is affected, then either of the parents should be affected. For a recessive disease, though the offspring is affected, the parents can be normal. Okay, by looking at the simple pedigree itself, we can say whether that is the recessive disease or the dominant disease. Next is, if you see now how we can distinguish that as the X-linked disease or it as the autosomal disease. After looking at the pedigree, if there is more males are affected rather than female, then we can say that it has the X-linked disease. Randomly, if both the male and female are affecting, then we have to check that as the autosomal disease, or we may suspect some cases it has the X-linked dominant. Mostly by the looking the pedigree, how we can simply have an idea about this means if mostly male are affected, then that is the X-linked diseases. If 50-50 chances are there means then we can say it as the autosomal disease. Next, rules of inheritance, that is what are the rules should be followed for an autosomal recessive means. In autosomal recessive, as they are not linked with the sex chromosomes, they are randomly transferred to either of the sex with equal frequency. That is, both males and females are being affected equally because it is an autosomal disease. And here also in recessive means we can see skipping of generation. That means in one generation the parents are unaffected, but in the next generation the offsprings are affected. Now for the affected offsprings, they are being born to unaffected parents. That's why we said it as the skipping of generation. When both the parents are heterozygous, then 1 by 4th of the progeny, that is 25% of the progeny are affected. And this is appearing more frequently among children of consanguine marriage. Next is the rule for autosomal dominant. In this autosomal dominant also, it with equal frequency, it occurs in both male and female. And both sexes transmit that trait to their offspring. That means that if the offspring is affected, then the parents should also be affected. And here we cannot see any skipping of generation. Affected offspring, compulsorily they should have an affected parent. When one parent is a heterozygous and the other parent is unaffected, then approximately 50% of the offsprings will be affected. Whoever is inheriting that mutant one will have that disease. Unaffected parents does not transmit the trait. And next is X-linked dominant disease. This X-linked dominant disease also occurs with equal frequency in both males and female, and it also does not skip any generation. Affected sons must have an affected mother. Affected daughters should have an affected father or an affected mother. But for the son to be affected, compulsorily he should have an affected mother. Affected fathers will pass this mutant allele to their daughters. Affected mother will transfer that mutant X allele to their sons. So 50% of the sons are affected and 50% of the daughters are being affected by the mother. But by the mother, 50% by the mother completely 100% of the sons are going to be affected. because the son inherit the X chromosome only from the mother. If mother is affected, then all the offsprings, that is the male sons, are compulsorily affected. If mother is a heterozygous condition, then 50% of the sons and 50% of the daughters are being affected. And next is the rules for X-linked recessive disease. And this disease is more common in males than that of female. For a female to be affected with this X-linked recessive disease, the father should be affected and mother, either she should be a carrier or affected by the disease. Then only the daughter will be affected. And these affected sons you are usually born to an unaffected mother, because mother is a carrier and she is normal. And approximately for a carrier mother, 50% of the sons are being affected. And it is never transferred from father to sons. All the daughters of affected fathers are carriers. Okay, if the father is with a disease, then whoever the daughters are there, that daughter will be a carrier. So these are the basic rules which help us to solve the pedigree very easily. Okay. The next one is Y-linked. This is being transferred only between the males, that is from father to the son. Okay, so this is the Y chromosome which is transferring from father to son. Okay, Y chromosome inheritance is called as Y-linked. It is passed only from father to son. It does not skip generation. Every generation the male child is affected. Mitochondrial inheritance is being seen from the mother. Okay, this mitochondrial DNA we inherit only from the mother. Okay, if you take the rest of the DNA which is present in the nucleus, that we inherit 50% from the mother and other 50% from the father. But coming to the mitochondrial DNA, we inherit complete 100% of mitochondrial DNA only from the mother. So these diseases are being transferred from mother to the offsprings, that is male and female equally. So this is about the rules of inheritance. If you like the video, share and subscribe. Press the bell icon to receive further notifications. This is Pravalika signing off.